for science!
Science!
All right, we have a DHL Week 8 match coming right up here between zthund and enthralimund. And this is a big one, as this is pretty much a win and get in match. Both of these players are currently sitting on 5-2 records, which means that the one who wins will finish the season out at 6-2, and the one that loses will end up at 5-3 and likely not make the top 8 tournament. So pretty big match for both of these guys. We got enthralimund on the top, zthund on the bottom. Enthralimund is bringing mage, paladin, and warrior, and his shaman has been banned. zthund has priest, warrior, and druid, and his mage has been banned. It looks like going into game number 1, we got zthund playing a quest warrior, and enthralimund looks to be playing a mage of some sort. It's hard to tell exactly if this is freeze mage or a Gunther discover type mage, or potentially even like a secret mage could be the thing too. So his opening hand is not giving much away just yet. But this should be a really fun match. Both of these guys have been long-time Dillionaires. Very, very cool guys. Some of my favorites. And good Hearthstone players. So expect some good action here. Enthralimund is drawing. Okay, so there we see a Mana Worm and an Alexstrasza. There is Mana Worm in a lot of popular freeze mage builds these days. As it allows you to deal with, like, there's not as many options as there once was, and Mana Worms are good for early game, being able to kind of control the board a little bit just with the body of the Mana Worm, while also sometimes just being able to get some chip damage in over time. So here's a bit of an unfortunate situation. He has to ping the Armorsmith here, which means that the Armorsmith will build up that 1 armor, but his plan, I think, is to Ice Block and then Medivh's Valet at next turn, trying to minimize the amount of armor, as he already does have the Alexstrasza in hand. So Enthralimund's plan is to just try to burn out zthund before the 8 damage random fireballs from the hero power just completely take him out. And there we do see the Ice Block into the Medivh's Valet. Brawl picked up. And Alley Armorsmith is a pretty big card in this matchup for zthund, as against the mage, you generally these days are concerned about getting burned out. So you oftentimes just want to build as much armor as you can with this. We may see a fireball ping land on that 2/7. Looks like he's actually going to do the Medivh's Valet Frostbolt ping, so he still has the fireballs to be able to deal with other threats later on, as well as to use for burst damage to the face. So Coin Curator this turn will continue the train of taunt minions. And he finds a couple more taunt minions to get closer and closer to the quest, which is already 3 out of 7 by turn 6. Not bad. Okay, so Cabal Courier definitely means that we're looking at the Discover Mage. Pyros could give him a decent amount of late game reach, just as, you know, a 6/6 and then to 10/10. But Dread Infernal is a 6/6 now. It doesn't seem like a terrible option. It's like we're going to see the pings start to hit the armor. One good thing for the burn mage in this matchup is that once the hero power goes away and is no longer armor up, there's no way for the warrior generally to gain armor outside of armor smiths and sometimes shield blocks. They don't always run those, so. All right, just hammering home with the faces. There's plenty of beef in front of these 2 little minions here. Okay, so that's why he didn't pick Pyros, because it's just in the deck. Pyros comes up off the top, and Enthralimund throws that bad boy down. Oh boy. This seems like a pretty decent Primordial Drake spot here. But just wants to press that button as often as possible, and I do not disagree with that as a strategy for zthund. Just hitting this button as many times as you can before you don't have that hero power anymore, and also before you get Alexstrasza, is pretty important. And he is just going to start applying pressure to the face here. That's 8 damage swinging in. Enthralimund down to 21. Decides on the Bloodhoof Brave instead of the Alley Armorsmith. Probably just wants to play the Alley Armorsmith when he kind of fitted into exact curves. A Meteor picked up. So Meteor can definitely deal with some of this massive board. Fortunately, it's a little bit awkward, so we're just going to see the Alexstrasza come down now. Alexstrasza's not going to get much better than that, so goes ahead and knocks out the Curator. Ravaging Ghoul into Execute takes care of the 8/8 body, also buffs up the Bloodhoof Brave. So even though getting rid of the Curator was removing 4 damage, he actually didn't remove as much damage as he could have if he had gone for the Bloodhoof Brave there. Kind of interesting. Cabal Courier going to look to find some more burn here, but yeah, it looks like he's just going to decide that he must deal with the board, or else he's just going to die. And with the Meteor going down, he has room for a Fireball. So he's going to look to get some more burn off of that Cabal Courier, or find a Pyroblast in the deck, which I'm sure is there. And zthund's going to continue to push this button as much as he can here. And now has the potential to gain 4 armor a turn with the Alley Armorsmith on board. There is a Medivh. Medivh is a little bit too late to the party right now, so I think you're going to have to Cabal Courier and find something that deals damage. Shadow Visions can help you find your Pyroblast. Okay, so there's the Pyro. Now he can Fireball the face this turn, which gets him down to 9. Then he'll go back up to 13 next turn. So unfortunately, he won't have lethal next turn, but he could maybe potentially draw one more burn spell. Like a Firelands Portal would deal 5. He could do Firelands Portal plus Ice Block next turn. And that would mean, so if he does the 6 this turn, he'd be down to 9. He'd go up to 13. Firelands Portal would bring him back down to 8. Then he'd go back up to 12. So unfortunately, the plan's not quite coming together. It's unfortunate for Enthralimund that zthund has this Alley Armorsmith out at just the right time. But I think he's just decided, I just need to get a little bit lucky. Now, he can actually find the actual Pyroblast, as Shadow Visions just created a copy of it, right? It's just the difficulty here is playing the second Pyroblast, because one of these turns is going to be spent having to put up Ice Block again. So I'm actually not sure that there's any way out of this for Enthralimund. This might just be checkmate. There is the second Pyroblast. He cannot play it this turn, as he will just die. Wow. Can't play that either, because that means you're dead. But he does. He commits Honorable Sudoku, sees that there's no way out of this one, and that means game number 1 is going to go over to zthund on the back of that Taunt Warrior. Taunt Warrior is very good. Alright, so we put a check mark up there on the Taunt Warrior for zthund. That means zthund has remaining his Priest and Druid. And Enthralimund still has all 3 of his decks remaining, so Mage, Paladin, and Warrior. I was told by him, actually, that he did attempt to bring the Jade Elemental Shaman, which, you know, I kind of wish I had brought this week maybe too, because I switched up, went back to the Evolve, Devolve Token Shaman, and it did not pay off. I was not able to find a win with it, so. I also never once was able to do any evolving, I don't think, so that might have had something to do with it. But at least with the Jade Shaman, you generally have, you know, a fairly proactive game plan. You're not relying on a certain combo being drawn. Alright, looks like zthund's Priest is a Dragon Priest, as we see another Spite Historian. And Enthralimund is switched over to the Paladin. And we see the Grimscale Chum generally means it's a more aggressive variant, and there's the Deathwing as well. So Deathwing is in the deck because Curator will draw you into Deathwing, and then Deathwing is kind of your insurance policy. If your board ever gets completely wiped and you can't reload it, and they end up getting up a bunch of walls, you can just play the Deathwing down and hopefully rely on that to finish the game. Interesting spot here. Do you play the Chum before you play the Tidecaller? If you play the Chum, then you coin the Tidecaller, it's a 2-3. If you go the other way, you have a 2-2 and a 2-1 still. So this is actually the correct sequencing to do it. Well, Primordial Drake seems pretty positive here. And that is the pick. Looks like a coin, a Stonehill Defender is going to protect this 2-1, and he can potentially start chipping away with it. Finds another Stonehill Defender for infinite value. And zthund can deal with this now if he so chooses, although Shadow Word Pains are pretty useful for dealing with Murloc War Leaders, so he may want to hold on to these. However, he could just get a clear board going right now if he so chooses. The other option is to just go ahead and you could even attack the 1/4 and then heal the minion, but there's not much value in that. So I just like healing face, making the attack for 1. Take it a little slow. You should be able to catch back up with your Dragonfire Potion, so you don't need to panic just yet. And obviously, as I said, Shadow Word Pains are just super important for dealing with Murloc War Leaders. Could go for a pain here just to lessen the pain that he's going to experience. And here I actually like making the attack and healing the minion over the face, but we'll see what zthund goes for. I think either option is totally viable and okay. Or just drop the Radiant Elemental, put a body on the board. So there is an important card for dealing with the Radiant Elemental. He can play a Rockpool Hunter, buff one of these minions up. You can even use the Redemption if he wants, although Redemption's not going to bring back a Murloc in most cases, so I like just Hero Powering instead. That's exactly what enthralimund does. You want to put the Rockpool on the 2/2 so you get the value trade. You could even use the 2/1 just to trade off with the 1/2 if you want, but there's no real need to just yet. Yeah, I like just going face, getting some more poke in. Alright, Dragonid Operative time. If you can play it and it's yellow, you do it. A Vine Cleaver feels like a pretty good card to pick up here. That's going to help going into the late game, especially you can play it the turn after you Dragonfire Potion. So it helps your curve out a little bit, because that's basically 100% going to be your plan next turn. You want to use the Dragonfire Potion on 6 before, so that enthralimund doesn't have minions on the board come his turn 6 when he can start putting, getting things mounted onto Kodos. So it's a little annoying for him that this Redemption went up, because I'm pretty sure he's got the read that that's what it is. I think you still feel the need to just go ahead and Dragonfire Potion this board, though, because you're going to have to at some point take control of it. And like I said, Dragonfire Potion into the Vine Cleaver is going to be pretty good. Considering just going for Priest of the Feast, though. Priest of the Feast with a Shadow Word Pain, do a little healing. But yeah, eventually does end up falling onto the original plan. Now there is no Spiked Ridge Steed, which is fortunate for zthund because the Redemption did bring back the Stonehill Defender. Oh wow, finds a Dread Corsair, can play that for free and reload the board. That's a lot of power being put back on the board after a Dragonfire Potion. Alright, looks like we're going to see... Oh, he's killing the Murloc. Interesting. Doesn't want a War Leader to come out. Would rather leave up the 3/3. A Blessing of Kings. There's a lot of power all of a sudden available. Could also go for the Sunkeeper Tarim. That'll allow him to remove the Priest of the Feast, which is definitely a little bit of a problem, as it allows zthund to heal up quite a bit. And Enthralimund's going to push 9 damage to the face this turn, set him down to 10. And now Primordial Drake actually kills nothing. It does put up a 4-8 taunt, but it didn't actually remove any minions. And I believe this is lethal with the Kings, because he also has the Rallying Blade to go behind it. So Enthralimund is going to go ahead and even up this series. Finding a win with the Paladin, one of the strongest decks in the format. For sure. And we are at 1-1 right now. Meaning Enthralimund has Mage and Warrior remaining. And zthund with the Priest and the Druid. We'll see if zthund sticks with that Priest deck. If he does, depending on what this Warrior deck is, Warrior's probably the pick. The old version of Dragon Priest definitely had a favorable matchup against Pirates, if that's what Enthralimund is playing. But now, because they don't have the 3-6 taunt anymore, you know, they're not running Defender of Argus anymore, it's a lot harder for them to put as much beef and taunt minions onto the board. So they're a little bit easier for Pirate Warrior to run over. Interesting selections here. Although you might want to try to get your Mage up against the Priest because you might fear the healing power of the Druid. Mage can generally heal 2 a turn most of the time, outside of obviously Priest of the Feast. But Druid can heal in big chunks with Earthen Scales. Alright, so zthund switches to Druid, and Enthralimund has switched to his Warrior. Enthralimund informing me that this is the first time he's brought Pirate Warrior. Alright. I'm going to give him a message with a ha-ha and an LOL. That's right, that's how much I'm ha-haing right now. Oh, and Patches drawn right away. And a Harrison Jones picked up as well. Harrison Jones in this Druid deck. That's a pretty big deal, especially we see now Captain Greenskin, an Arcanite Reaper, a Bloodsail Cultist. This Harrison Jones might hit a massive Arcanite Reaper and just swing this game heavily in favor of zthund. zthund also does have a nice opener here. He can go ahead and start ramping up his Jades. Bloodsail Cultist just going to hit the board here. He needs to get something going. Does have a nice follow-up with the Corcoran Elite next turn. zthund may just swipe this. Yeah, I don't disagree with that play at all. Just goes ahead and drop the swipe. We're probably going to see something like Corcoran directly into... Oh, could actually go for Patches with a Frothing Berserker. Make a 4-4 in that case, but wouldn't get to be able to do the damage to the face. So you could go ahead and you could Nourish for mana. There's an interesting play here, because now that you've drawn the Gadget Zan Auctioneer, you're likely to be able to find cards. So you could Nourish for mana, and then Wrath the 4-3. Now you obviously throw away a lot of card draw, but getting to 8 mana this quickly in the game against the Pirate Warrior means you're going to be able to put up tons and tons of walls. And you've got Harrison Jones, although Harrison's only going to pick up 1 card here. Alright, and double Earthen Scales with this Gadget and Auctioneer. Pretty massive. And whether or not Harrison Jones draws multiple cards, it still removes a 5-attack weapon. We're going to go ahead and Earthen Scales now. Interesting. I wouldn't mind holding back on the Earthen Scales just because you do have the Auctioneer in hand. That's going to allow you to start cycling through your deck. And you're at 21 or 22 with the hero power, so not necessarily in danger of dying just yet. So the Arcanite Reaper is going to come down. I think he's going to have to actually hit the Harrison, though, just to try to protect some of his pirates. Yeah, I think his best play is to actually hit the Harrison here. He doesn't want to be using his weapons to remove minions, but I think at this point in the game, it's too early on, and the Druid has too much health to not be playing a board game just yet. He's going to hold back on the Druid or the Dread Corsair because he wants to make sure he's able to use the Bloodsail Cultist next turn. But he did have the Patches, so he still would have been able to do it. Oh, wow. This is pretty big, though. He can play Dread Corsair into Bloodsail Cultist into Bloodsail Raider. And throw the patches down for good measure. And start smashing face. And next turn he'll be able to Captain Greenskin. Although, Primordial Drake is probably coming down right now. So you use the 1-1 on the 3-3. Oh, wow. This is actually kind of annoying, though, because he can't... yeah, so actually he uses the 3-3 on the 3-3. The 2-2 on the 3-4, and the 1-1 on the 8-3, and then he drops the Primordial Drake. Let's see if he can find that line. He does see it. And he can also go ahead and play the Jade Idol to throw another minion on the board. Use the Earthen Scales to make the 4-8 taunt into a 5-9 taunt, which is much harder to get through. Oh, there you go. Spellbreaker. That allows him to push right on through. Gonna go ahead and drop the Frothing Berserker. He can't actually swing this turn, though, because he wants to be able to play the Captain Greenskin, but at least it gets the taunt out of the way. I think we're gonna see Gadgets and Auctioneer into Jade Idol here. Yeah, you probably wanna trade with your Aya first. Then you play Gadget Sand and Jade Idol. Or he's just gonna drop, okay, just gonna drop the Jade Spirit. Okay, he's going for Jade Spirit and Jade Idol. That's also pretty good. You get a 5-5 and a 6-6 this turn, and obviously that just means that the game is coming to a close. So Enthralimund not able to find enough damage quickly enough, and of course the Nourish into Wrath play, I think, was really the turning point for zthund. Able to find a win with the Druid deck. Alright, so checkmark goes next to the Druid list, and that means zthund has to find one win with his Priest. And Enthralimund needs to beat that Priest deck twice. Once with Pirate Warrior, and once with a Discover Burn Mage. Very possible, by the way. Very, very possible. I like the pirate build that Illuminati brought too. He's got, or sorry, Enthralimund. Illuminati's in the chat. I like the build of Pirate Warrior that Enthralimund brought because it has the Spellbreaker in it, which is very important, especially in like a tournament style meta. You need to be able to deal with Spiked Ridge Steed, as it's just too much taunt to get through. And of course, you also sometimes need to be able to. Primordial Drakes are everywhere. You got to get through those bad boys. So, all right, he doesn't feel the confidence with the Pirate Warrior, so he's going to switch and go with the Mage and zthund with that Dragon Priest. Got the Potion of Madness, which can definitely help in the early game. Double Potion of Madness, okay. I mean, a lot of minions that Enthralimund plays have 2 or less attack. If he can find a way to get Potion of Madness to hit the Pyros, that will be massive. So the Pyros is the card that really is going to give Enthralimund his basically like most of his minion damage. We'll see if Enthralimund sniffs out the possibility of Potion of Madness here and doesn't play Pyros. Yep. Oh, he's just gonna drop it. This could go poorly. Yeah, I mean, he is thinking about it, and that's a very heads up. At least Enthralimund was considering the possibility, because it's out there. You got to be careful. You know you're playing Priest. You know there's a card called Potion of Madness. Here it comes, and he's probably right now kicking himself. Yeah, he just messaged me. Yep. So yeah, I think he sniffed it out, but he just couldn't bring himself to play around that card. You know, I don't really disagree with not playing around it. It's one of those things where you just kind of force him to have it. You saw that he kept one card right at the beginning of the game, and oftentimes you can predict that that card is perhaps Potion of Madness, but it could easily be Radiant Elemental. It could there's many things it could be. It could be Northshire Cleric. It could be all sorts of different stuff. So I really don't mind the play. It's just one of those times you're going to get punished. Alright, so Dragon Operative is going to hit the board, and he'll find, oh, a Medivh, the Guardian. However, Primordial Glyph is pretty hard to turn down here. Primordial Glyph is quite good. And that's exactly what he goes for. Babbling Book coming down. Let's see what Babbling Book finds. Finds a Vaporize. Could maybe play that right now, as the 5/6 might just want to go face. And a Molten Reflection. Interesting. Molten Reflection's... trying to figure out how much Molten Reflection could potentially ever do in this deck. The biggest thing you could ever get is probably another Medivh or something like that. Here comes another Potion of Madness. Going to use that on the 1/1 to kill the 2/1. And he looks like he did go face with a 5/6, so he's going to get the bad news. Vape Nation. That Dragonite Operative goes up in a puff of smoke. So Medivh's Valet plus ping plus the 1/1 will deal with the 5/5. And then he can also play Mana Worm at the same time. Yep. Could also choose to use the Frostbolt just because the Frostbolt does buff the Mana Worm, but you know, this way you get a 2/3 body into play as well as your Mana Worm. So I like that a little bit more. Looks like we're going to see a Pyros hit the board. Throw a Power Word Shield on top of that. Oh my god, and the Angoro pack is already here, but that does mean he can't Shadow Visions it and get a second pack. Meteor will deal with the 6/8, but that was probably his best chance to deal with it once it became a 10/10, so a little rough having to use the Meteor before it's the 10/10. Curious Glimmerroot, let's see what we get. Okay, he probably knows Ice Barrier is the card. And he correctly chooses that. He's going to have to get some cards out of his hand before he can ever play this Ungoro pack. So he can throw up the Ice Barrier this turn. Pretty solid turn. There's the Pyroblast. And right now, Enthralimund is one turn away from being able to throw down the Alexstrasza. Here's an interesting, a 4 mana already buffed Mana Worm. Not too shabby. I don't mind that one bit. Let's see, he could even use the Frostbolt on the 3/3, but I think he wants to save that for burn to the face. Because now he's got 13 burn in hand with the Pyroblast and the Frostbolt. The chip damage doesn't actually matter too much, so he might have wanted to actually make the trade with the Glimmerroot there. Alright, so Primordial Glyph. Could have even thrown down both elementals there. Oh, and the Greater Healing Potion is a massive pickup. He insta-picked that card. Well, you're not going to get a Medivh's Valet to go off anymore. You got lucky enough to get one secret. Very unlikely you're going to get another. So Arcane Intellect is definitely the pick here. And Enthralimund's going to get the bad news here in a second. As Greater Healing Potion is 12 health back after he just dealt about 12 himself. Shadow Vision's going to find... well, none of that's very good. Let's see. He's going to look again. Shadow or Death. That's what he was looking for the first time. Able to take care of the Alexstrasza, heal for 12, all the way back to 24. He can go ahead and play this pack now as well. Finds Osrook, a Vicious Fledgling, Sudden Genesis. He can make more copies of his minions. He doesn't have the hand space to do so just yet. Oh no, that's actually, these get summoned. I forgot. These don't go in your hand. They go onto the board, so yeah. You can get these guys damaged. And here, just going to see Pyro and another swing here. He's got him down to 12, so he's going to look to find a bit more damage. Has 6 more damage in hand, and of course, the potential infinite damage of Yogg-Saron, Hope's End. Arcane Intellect going to come down. And now that he's got the Priest of the Feast, he can start finding lots and lots of healing here. Going to Sudden Genesis just to make a 5/3. He could have Flappy Birded into the 3/3 and got another Flappy Bird. Of course, he wants to go ahead and use that right now. Gonna give it the Liquid Membrane. Alright, so there's a Primordial Glyph. Unfortunately, he's gonna have to think about killing off this Priest of the Feast, and none of that goes face. Oh my. That is a terrible Primordial Glyph. I don't even know what you pick here. I guess you pick Arcane Explosion because it kills the 5/1? Oof, that That is just sad. Mana Bind potentially gets you a spell that you can then use with Yogg. I'm gonna go ahead and just drop the mirror image. Try to buy himself a little bit of time. I think he has to just it's unfortunate, but I think you have to kill this Priest of the Feast because you're never gonna win the game while that thing remains on the board. So he's trying, and he's just hoping and praying that zthund doesn't have a handful of spells here. And that somehow, some way, this Yogg comes down and finishes the job. That is a gigantic Twilight Drake, my friends. So, could even go Nether Spite first. Maybe try to find another dragon that matters. Maybe even an Alexstrasza. Because if enthralimund can't get him super low. But I think he definitely wants to heal his own face. There's a Wind Fury on the Flappy Bird. And zthund for sure wants to spend some part of this turn healing his own face. Gonna use the Primordial Drake here. Alright, it might be Yogg time, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know how many spells have been cast here, but it's been quite a few. Well, let's see how much enthralimund has done as far as praising goes so far. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Where's it? It goes face! It goes face! Oh, and arcane. Oh, great arcane missiles. These could do something very significant. A Shadow Flame on. Okay, a Hellfire. That's more damage that went to the face. Kill command. To the face. Shadow Word Death kills off his own Yogg. Alright, but that cleared the board and got zthund down to 3 life. Yogg did his job. Yogg definitely did his job. Alright, Dragon Operator, he's looking for an ice block, I'm guessing. However, the entire deck that enthralimund has left is Choose Your Path. So he's going to have to find...
A mistake.
He's going to use Choose Your Path. He's going to have to try to find a weapon. There's many, many warrior weapons that could do the job here. Flame Geyser deals some damage, but it's not a lot. And the problem is, it deals the 2 damage. It puts the 1/1 on the board. It buffs the Mana Worm. But that's it. However, I mean, he has Ice Block up, and he has another one in hand. He can ping face. He can throw down the Flame Elemental as well. He knows every single time he draws a card, he's going to get a chance to discover a weapon. And if he can discover a weapon, he can finish this game. Right now, zthund can only heal for 2 a turn. And if he wants to play a minion with Taunt, it's going to cost him 9 mana. Oh no, he's got the Primordial Drake. I didn't even see the Drake was all the way on the left there. Wow, I missed that. His zthund's hand size is so big. So I think now he has to find a Mortal Strike. Mortal Strike? Oh, that's right. It switches to his class. Oh, so he can find mage spells. Okay. Thank you, Gandalf. Alright, well, Kazakis might go off. No, it'll never go off. His whole deck is the same card. Kazakis will never go off. Wait a minute. Oh man. Alright, so yeah, it discovers cards from his class. That's correct. Very, very rare for me to be casting games that are using a bunch of Discover Ungoro. Yeah, Kazak is absolutely worthless. His entire deck is 1 card. Alright, he needs to find that mage spell. Needs to find the mage spell. Okay, well there's another Pyros. Pyros is pretty terrible here though, but, you know, I guess you just do it. There's no reason to hold back this Kazakis. It's never going to be a Kazakis. So you might as well just play it. Wonder if enthralimund has caught on to that just yet? Or if he thinks if he can hold on to it till the very end of the game somehow? He just needs to find a burn spell. He's got to be feeling a little unlucky at this point. But he hasn't been able to find one yet. Alright. Fireball still works. Let's see. His 2 outs are Fireball and Fireland's Portal. That's it. That is not what those cards are. He has one more chance because he does have Ice Block. So he has one more shot at this. Unfortunately, the next turn, zthund will be at 8. So he has to get a ping in this turn. Oh no. He needed a ping there so that Fireball would still be an out next turn because he needed zthund to be at 7. But instead he played the Pyros. And unfortunately, that's not going to do it. So I think this is checkmate. It'll be 8 if he doesn't ping, and he did not ping, Gainsdorf. So, yep, he needed to ping there because now he can't find. Like if he finds a Pyroblast, he won't be able to play it this turn. Well, he didn't find one anyway, and that's going to do it. Enthralimund unable to find the damage he needed, and zthund is going to take that game and the match 3-1. Congratulations to zthund. That means he's going to move likely into the top 8 with a 6-2 record, and enthralimund has unfortunately come to the end of his run this season unless people drop out, which has happened in the past. In fact, last season the guy who won the whole damn thing, Ducharmeau, wasn't technically in the top 8 until a few people couldn't make it. So he ended up making his way in from about 11th place or so in the Swiss round. Once he got into the top 8, he was able to capitalize on that opportunity and actually win the whole damn thing. So even if you're at 5-3, even if you're at 6-2 and you're not technically qualified because of tiebreakers, it's the good idea to still, be mentally prepared for the idea that you might actually get in there. So anyway, that's going to do it for this match. zthund, congratulations, finishes the season at 6-2. Enthralimund, our condolences, finishes the season at 5-3. The next time you see this on my YouTube channel, it will be likely the top 8 tournament. If you're watching on Twitch, stick around because there will be more Hearthstone action coming up in just a second. So I'll be right back.